What up, world? Welcome to another episode of the BrandonJaneau Show. As you know, I am Brandon Janeau, and like always, on all podcast platforms everywhere, BrandonJaneau Show, social media platforms, Instagram and Threads, um, Brandon Janeau, uh, together. You know, let's face it, Brandon Janeau. Facebook, the BrandonJaneau Show, and of course, YouTube channel, BrandonJaneau Show. Go subscribe, comment, uh, like. I do comment back, man. I hope you guys enjoy this episode, man. As you see in the background of this is a new logo. You know, shout out to my brother Brian B. Brian Beeline for the new logo of the Brian Janeau Show. Uh, all day I've been moving it around because well, Thursday is the 5 year anniversary of my podcast, so I thought it was about time. I changed the logo, change it up, get some new stuff going. So hopefully you guys enjoy this. Still black and gold because it's gotta be black and gold. Uh, Trust me on this. I'll be talking about that later because you already know Tuesday. You already know what it is. It's I bleed sports. Yeah, craziness going on all around sports. Craziness all around sports. Of course, you already know college football in the NFL. I will be talking about week 2 of college football going into week 3. I will be having my second week with my new segment. Players going up, players and teams going up, and team players and teams down bad. You know what I'm saying? So who's those teams and players that's gonna be down bad? Who's their teams are going up and a player. Of course, my eyes on college football, my crazy six. It will be back next week. So my first crazy six I will be doing. I don't know how I'm gonna do all of this next week, but I will get to it when I get to it next week. And of course, my big four of the NFL, and of course my levels of warning, and of course I'm boxing. You already know. But let's get into it, man. So I want to start off like this. So Agent Wilson. Agent Wilson is uh, the first WNBA player to ever score 1,000 points in a season. I can't remember. I think it was 2 years ago. I think I said this. I said maybe a year ago when I first started doing I Believe Sports. I said Agent Wilson is one of the best women basketball players, possibly one of the best basketball players. That's man and women in the world. Like she's one of the best, and to see her, she's one of the most accomplished. You gotta realize this girl is the this woman is literally the beginning of the South Carolina dynasty. Like she is one of the reasons for the South Carolina dynasty the way it is with the legendary Hall of Fame head coach Don Staley. Like she was the first one to really put that program on the map. And so and I can't remember how many national championships they won. I think they won like 2 or 3 of them hoes. Like they won like 2 or 3 of them. With her. Dominance. They were the first ones to really beat UConn and just be so great at what they were doing. Um South Carolina juggernaut with her. And then she comes into the WNBA, gets drafted by Vegas, Las Vegas Aces, and has become and turned them into a powerhouse. She was like Las Vegas Aces really first ever big player they ever got, and she became a freaking juggernaut. And then all of the pieces started to fall in place. Now she's won WNBA championship, and she's been an MVP. She's probably gonna win this year's MVP. Um, and that's the thing about a person like a player like Asia Wilson. Like this is the thing about I've been saying is that it's cool to praise the rookies that have come into this league, not just Caitlin Clark, not just Aja Reese, but Cameron uh, Cameron Beck, Cameron Brake, and you know Camilla Carosa, and and Rika Jackson, and it's cool to praise the rookies that have come into this league. That's not the problem. Praise them, But don't sit there and say these rookies are just the best thing you've ever seen because there are women in this league that's been dominant for years, like an Aja Wilson, who, like I said when this happened, I said, okay, you can give the rookies all the love and respect, but stop playing like these women ain't some of the best basketball players in the world because they are. Not just Aja Wilson, but Brianna Stewart and Sabrina Nescu and Jackie Young and Chelsea Gray and like you can't just like Drew Lloyd like you got so many great WNBA women basketball players in the league that is just crazy. So to see Aja Wilson doing what she's done, especially when the Aces started so poorly this season, the fact that they started that bad and now they're literally like what 2 or 3 in the WNBA of like standings as the best WNBA teams. That's crazy. They started off freaking terrible as a defending champs. They literally was terrible. I got them in the Liberty making it back to the um, to the finals of the WNBA. I think they're gonna meet up again in the finals. I like the Lynx this year. I think Lynx are having a great season, but I think in a 5 game series between them and the Aces, if they have to play the Aces or the Liberty, I give it to the Liberty or the Aces. I think they have just a little bit more than the Lynx do right now. But yeah, man. But congratulations to Aja Wilson. She is having a hell of a season. She's going to win the MVP. Shit, she might even win Defensive Player of the Year. Shit, the way she's playing. Um, but yeah, I can't wait to see what they're gonna look like in the postseason. That's coming soon. So can't wait to see how it's gonna look. So this past weekend was, of course, the Canelo Alvarez fight. He fought Edgar Berlanga uh, to a unanimous decision. Pretty obvious. Um, he won the fight. Knocked him down in the fourth round with a hell of a hook. I want to say it was a right hook. He just got him. He dropped his hands and bow, got him. The thing about Canelo, first of all, before I get into Canelo, I've seen people since that fight Saturday. I saw boxers, some of the best female boxers and boxers, try to downplay like a killer plant and people that Canelo has fought, and they're trying to give Edgar this overwhelming like participation trophy because he made it to the final bell with Canelo. Like they're giving this man a fucking participation trophy. Did I expect him to make it that far? Fuck no. But I'm not also gonna sit up here and act like it wasn't an ass whooping. Excuse me. It was crazy to watch that fight. It was uh, congratulations to Edgar for making it to the 12th goddamn round. Making it to the final bell. But he, my problem with the fight is what happened in the fight. He didn't belong there. He didn't belong there. And the kid is okay. I remember watching him when he first came into boxing. He had 16 consecutive knockouts in the first round, and that was cool. That was cool. But the kid didn't belong there. He looked out of place. He looked like he was a fan. Looked like he was a fan of Canelo. There was one moment in this fight where Canelo they did the clap stick, and Canelo was like, "Oh, I'm done," and he walked to the corner. I guess he thought it was which you would hit a bell if that was the end of the fucking round, which made no sense. But he was walking to the corner, and Edgar's like, "Bitch, I know this motherfucker was just walking like just done with." Like, and Edgar ran up and bow and pushed him. And Canelo's like, "Bitch, I know goddamn well." Like, "Bitch, I know goddamn well. You done just hit me." And that was the thing. Like, it was just the fight should have got stopped along. Like, Edgar was not in that fight ever. It was never a time where I felt like Edgar had. He caught him a couple times. He caught him with some shit, but that fight was so fucking mismatched. It was bad. It was bad. Once Edgar fell to the ground, and he really fell to the ground when he got tagged, he was like, "Oh shit!" He started clapping his boxing gloves. Bro, you wasn't gonna touch him. You wasn't gonna touch Canelo in that fight, and I think you knew that. I think you knew that. He wasn't ready. He wasn't ready for that fight. The fight of the night for me was Caleb Plant, which I thought was and Travis McGordy. I thought that should have been a co-main event, not the Danny Garcia fight. I thought that should have been a co-main event. Um, Caleb got tagged in the third, fell to the ground, but you wouldn't know it by the time you got to the sixth round because it was a completely fucking different fight by the time you got to the sixth round. Uh, Travis had power. He had power, man. He was tagging the shit out of Caleb in the first 2 3 rounds. He was fucking him up, just fucked him up to the point he dropped him. But Caleb is starting to become one of my favorite boxers, man. I'm starting to really respect that man, like as a boxer. That dude is a fucking boxer, bro. Cause he got tagged, he didn't get mad. He ain't, you know, he was like, all right, cool, and he broke his ass down, man. Now some of that was on Travis because he never really got. I don't think Travis, the boxer he was fighting, had been out of too many rounds from the first couple rounds. And when you have a boxer like that, that ain't really been out of too many. They're used to knocking people out in certain rounds. They're not used to a 10, 12 round fight. They usually are used to just knocking you the fuck out and moving the fuck on. He got tired. You could see his fatigue kick in after the third round. Once he knocked him down, you could see him start to break down. And Caleb Plant took advantage of that. He started tagging his ass. And once he started leaning on the ropes, it was like, yeah, Caleb Plant was just tagging his ass after that. It was bad. That was a bad thing. Do I think they ended the fight? Excuse me. Do I think they ended the fight prematurely? Maybe. Yeah, maybe. I mean, Travis probably could have tried in the seventh round, but I think it could have got worse for him because he was burnt. He was burnt out. He was done. And plus with that particular combination that Caleb Plant was hitting his ass with, particularly, it was gonna get worse. So yes, it was a premature stop, but at the same time, good for them because they knew like this shit could get bad, and we're gonna stop it right here, right now, and go on to the next. But yeah, now the other side to that fight, the Edgar and Canelo fight, is Canelo. That fight didn't show me anything about Canelo, and it showed me a damn thing about Canelo. Canelo is Canelo. Like I don't expect him to. It's what he said after the fight to me. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. It's what he said after that fight. Is that he wants to fight Bivol again. Demetrius Bivol, who is a light heavyweight champion, who has an undisputed title match coming up in October. October. And Canelo said if he wins, he wants to fight him again. Cool. I went to go watch that fight yesterday on YouTube. You can pull it up. Bivol, Canelo. Go watch it. If Bivol wins this undisputed title, and boxing fucks up, it does this shit because they will do it probably. Canelo gets another fight with Bivol. Y'all are gonna get a rude awakening for fucking with Bivol. Canelo couldn't beat him the first time, and it was simple shit. It was simple boxing. Move the fuck out the way, get off the ropes, stay off the ropes, keep him in front, move around the ring, and jab him. Boom, boom, jab him. Keep his ass off of you. Jab him. It was beautiful. It was beautiful to watch. It was beautiful to the point until they got to the decision. They gave it an ultimate, a unanimous decision. But when you have all judges scoring 115 or 113, like bitch, what you was watching? The fuck were you watching? What the fuck were you watching? You were giving this man points for just tagging a man on his fucking arms. Like, what the fuck are you watching? Bibble whooped his ass. Like, it was a masterclass of how great he was. All he did was have good footwork and jab him, keep distance. And even when they did get inside, he was getting to him first. He was tagging his ass. And and the funny part is, Bill didn't even put his power, his strength on him. Bivol is way bigger and taller than Canelo. So all he did was simple boxing. The fact that y'all now think that you can go in that next, if he wins again, he wins this undisputed title, the light heavyweight title, that you now could go and fight him again, it's going to be worse. I don't think you understand that. And I heard people say, well, Canelo fought Edgar and he fought Matisse or Malanga, Malanga, because they're big and they're tall and they're athletic and they can kind of move. And bro, you realize they're middleweights, right? He's going up to light heavyweight. Style makes fights. You don't understand that. Styles make fights. All that shit did will not translate in the fight against Bivol. You do know that, right? Because all that shit they did, that's a bigger dude. He's naturally a light heavyweight. He's naturally a light heavyweight. So you think he's gonna go in there and fight Canelo and be less disciplined? That's what he does. He's disciplined. He's the man. What are you talking about? He would hurt Canelo. And he might knock his ass out this time. Because if you watch that fight, Canelo got frustrated by like the fourth, fifth round. Once you realized he couldn't really affect him like he thought he would, he got frustrated. Canelo's a dirty ass fighter, by the way. Like people that sit there and act like that motherfucker dirty. There's no way in hell. I was watching some on TikTok and dude was like, it's funny to watch these movies, these boxing movies, and act like that's and they act like that's real boxing. That's what happens in real boxing. I'm like, did you not see Canelo fights? That nigga hits people in the arms every fucking fight. What the fuck are you talking about? Because he was talking about Creed 3 when John the Major's character, you know, was fucking up Jose Benavidez in the fight. And he was hitting him in his elbows and his arms and shit. He's like, oh, that's funny how they do that in movies, but they will never do that in real life. I'm like, do you not see Canelo fights? That nigga does that shit every fucking fight. And that's the thing. Like, what Saturday Night proved was nothing. Canelo is supposed to be dominant in the middleweight division. It's his division. The funny part is the person that could have helped him get ready for Bivol, he fucking ducked. Yeah, he ducked. He ducked David Benavidez. David Benavidez is Bibble's height, a little bigger than him, but the shit that Bibble does, David Benavidez does. Now he doesn't have the footwork like a Bibble. Bibble has a impeccable footwork. If you watch that fight, you'll see like his footwork was incredible. David Benavidez has some footwork. He's quicker than I thought he would be, but David Benavidez has a powerful jab, and and Canelo knows that. Canelo knows how physically dominant David Benavidez is. He can't affect David Benavidez like he can affect Edgar Berlanga or any of these other boxers that he's fought. He can't affect them, and that's the problem. That's why he ducked David Benavidez. He knows how strong David Benavidez is. You don't watch his fights and say the shit I cannot do is take jabs. It's simple shit that Canelo loses to. Go watch the Floyd fight. That was simple shit. Floyd was just letting his ass tire himself out, and he was just tagging his ass every time he came in. Boom, 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 boom. When you watch David when he fought Bivol was fucking him up. Once he finally slowed him down and kind of he got tired and frustrated, he was hitting him with combos like do 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 do. If you ever watch the David Benavidez fight, what does he do? Hit you with the jab, keep you on the ropes, and then he unloads on your ass. Same thing with Caleb Plant. Caleb Plant was fucking Canelo ass up for most of that fight. If it wasn't for that fucking knockout, he probably would have beaten Canelo. I mean, well, nah, I'm not gonna say that because it's Vegas. Even the first Triple G fight, if you go watch the first and second Triple G fight, more so the first Triple G fight, Triple G was fucking Canelo ass up because he could not handle the jab and the footwork. And that's exactly why he didn't fight David Benavidez. Canelo knows that shit. And then on top of that, to have you say, "Oh, David comes in 25 pounds overweight. He comes over, over 25 pounds overweight in his fights," but then you get a report that Edgar Berlanga came in over 25 pounds for your fight. So which one is it? It's skill, man. And that's the thing. If he goes fight Bivol, the two fighters you just fought, even you want to throw Charlo into this shit. Those three fights that you fought, none of them are Bivol. None of them are Bivol. Not the skill level, not the talent, not the discipline. The shit that fucked you up the first time, the shit that fucked you up the first time in that fight, it's actually gonna be worse. It's gonna be worse. And I don't think you know that. Like I think he has to. He has to know that he doesn't want to fight. And if he jump, and I know people are gonna be like, he should jump the line because he's Canelo Alvarez, but that is stupid. Like if he jumps the line and then he loses again, you can't say shit. You can't say shit. Before I get to football, Tank Davis. Now, there's rumors that Tank is pushing his fight back to December now because it was supposed to be in November. Now it's gonna probably be in December. And reportedly, nobody wants to take the fight. Nobody wants to fight Tank. That makes total goddamn sense. I'm not gonna lie. It makes total sense. It makes complete and utter total sense. That Tank is a lot of people are not fighting Tank Davis. It makes sense. Um, yeah, I'm not surprised that people are not trying to fight Tank Davis. Tank is a risk. Tank's a real risk. You go in that fight with him, you better be ready because he is going to eventually get to you. I've said this numerous times. Tank is my favorite boxer of this time period. Tank is my favorite boxer because the man can defend. The man is boxingly skilled, and he isn't afraid to take a challenge. I saw Teofimo Lopez saying, "Oh, Tank, let's fight." I've been said if Teofimo and him was to fight, I think Teofimo could get Tank. But as I've watched Teofimo the last couple of fights, he has this unreal, just it, a fight like that against Tank, he would care. He would take it serious. But I also feel like he would get fucked up because he would take his eye off the ball for just a second. And that's all Tank need. It's a second. And shit will be different. So yeah, man, I think that this would be I think that would be a crazy fight. I think that Tank and Teofimo would be great to watch and see. But we shall see. We shall see. Football. Let's get into it. So, week three, week three of college football was this past weekend. Colorado bounced back after losing to Nebraska. Listen, they beat Colorado State. What they freaking do? You were supposed to be Colorado State. What they freaking do? Like, I'm not about to jump on a bandwagon now and be like, oh yeah, they're gonna be great. Do that shit this week. I think they play. I think they play Baylor. Not mistaken. I think Baylor. Um, yeah, I think they play Baylor this week. Do that shit against Baylor. Like I'm not about to jump on the bandwagon with Colorado. I, you still haven't played anybody good. When you have played somebody good, they beat your ass. You got two wins against Colorado State and North Dakota State. I don't give a shit about them teams. I don't give a fuck about them teams. Now, if you could beat Baylor and you could beat, some of the Big 12 teams, now we're having a different conversation. But I don't really care about that. So let's get into it, man. So I started this new segment last week. Players going up, players and teams going up, and players and teams that's down bad. So let's get into it, man. So the player that is going up this week. Come on, y'all already know what's going on with this one. Archie Manning. Archie Manning is going to be the starting quarterback at least for a while before because Quentin Ayers, the starting quarterback for the Texas Longhorns, got injured. He's going to be missing a couple weeks, it seems. And Archie Manning is going to be the starting quarterback for the Texas Longhorns. Um, what do I feel about that? I'm not ready to throw this super huge. He's on the list. I gave him up, but I want to see him against the SEC. He did all that shit against uh, the University of Texas San Antonio. Okay, like great, awesome. Do that shit in a couple weeks. Do that shit against Oklahoma. Do that shit against Georgia. Do that shit. Do what you did to them. Then we're having a whole nother conversation. But for what he did in that particular game, he looked great. Again, it's against fucking University of Texas of San Antonio, but do you think it's something? It's something, and congratulations. A player that is down. Speaking of SEC, Carson Beck, quarterback of Georgia. I saw this thing on Twitter today where they had Carson Beck seventh, going to my brother Wine's Raiders, and I sent it to him, and he said, "Yeah, flip Cam Ward and Carson Beck, and we good." And Georgia is having that same feeling they had last year, where they're Georgia, so you are never going to count them out because they're the best team on the football field. But next week they play Alabama and they play Texas in a couple weeks, and now we're having a conversation about Georgia because I don't think Georgia's going to win either of those games. I don't think Georgia's going to win. I, I don't think Georgia. I don't think Georgia's going to win either of those games because they have no fucking offense. And I've been waiting and waiting and waiting to see them perform. And you just played Kentucky, who got, well, okay, sidebar. South Carolina's really good, but you still played Kentucky, who scored 3 fucking points last week against South Carolina. What the fuck? Like, you played Kentucky, who scored 3 points against South Carolina at home. The fuck? I'm sorry. Like I'm trying to figure this shit out. I'm trying. You barely beat Kentucky. You barely beat Kentucky? The fuck? Like, no, man. Carson Beck for me is falling the fuck down these fucking boards. You cannot sit there and tell me you watching Georgia in the first 3 weeks he's physically played. The Clemson game, they even struggled in that fucking game for like a half. The Clemson game, the game they played last week, and he struggled in that. They struggled offensively in that fucking game. You cannot sit there and tell me you're watching this Georgia team and not being at some point concerned with this fucking Georgia team. That is just the. And again, you covered it up last year because you didn't have to play the juggernauts. You didn't have to play Alabama. You didn't have to play LSU. You didn't have to play, you know, all these other teams. You got to play just the SEC teams. But Georgia's now playing Texas, and Georgia's playing, you know, Alabama. It's different now. This is not the just walk in and just win a game. Like you have to have an offense, and Georgia has no offense. And like I said, it's one thing for me to say this shit and have no proof. Go look at them last year. When Brock Bowers went down, they actually got better when Brock Bowers went down offensively, which is the craziest shit. Georgia's too relying on their defense, and now you have an actual offense. You got a lot of offensive power in the SEC. LSU's always been offensively charged. Ole Miss has always been offensively charged. But you got Alabama, the quarterback, the head coach of the Washington Huskies last year, who had one of the best rookie quarterbacks that's sitting on the bench in Atlanta right now, and Michael Penix Jr., who I've been said was one of the best quarterbacks. Now you have Jalen Monroe, who's there. It, I don't blame Carson Beck for how the team looks right now, but I do blame him because what the fuck is his offense? Kirby Smart, what the fuck is this? This is not good. Next week when they play against Bama, I could be wrong, but if they can't score over 20 fucking points against Bama, because that Georgia's defense is good, but can you? But if Alabama gets out to an early lead, can you catch them? Can you come back? And I don't think they can, and that's the problem. My team that's going up, Tennessee Volunteers. A couple years ago, Tennessee had this amazing season with Hayden Hooker, and in Jalen Hyatt, and it was an amazing season. And then they went up against Georgia, and they lost. And then what? A week or two later, they lost Hayden Hooker, and then he got injured, and then their season went to shit. This Tennessee team just played North Carolina State and absolutely fucking dominated them, beat their ass. I don't know what Tennessee's gonna be moving forward. This week they play Oklahoma. I will talk about that in a couple minutes. But this Tennessee team looks like that team 2 years ago. It looks like that team from 2 years ago. It looks like they have a quarterback that they trust, an offense they can believe in, and they're moving the fucking ball, and they're moving it fast. I don't know Tennessee's schedule. I can't really tell y'all that much. I might have to look at it, but Tennessee's scary. Tennessee's scary, man. That's scary motherfucker. And again, this is one of those teams that the new SEC benefits. You don't have to play. You might get to avoid Alabama. You might get to avoid Florida. You might get to avoid, Georgia, Ole Miss. You get to avoid some of these teams. So you don't have to play them. So you might get Kentucky. You might get Vanderbilt. You might get Mississippi State. You might get, you know, in all these teams that aren't really great, aren't really good, but they're but 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 you can destroy them. You can take them out. So Tennessee's in a good situation. Tennessee's gonna be in a really good situation. My team is going down. It must be an SEC thing with me. I don't fucking get it. My team is going down is the team I do a podcast on, and that is the LSU Tigers. That South Carolina game was bad to watch. It sucked. It was a terrible, terrible fucking game to watch. I was 100% um like, yeah, that makes sense. I am so, and I mean so, uh down on LSU this year. I'm doing a podcast. I thought LSU would be better defensively. We still suck. We're not good at defense. Offensively, we had one game where we ran the ball effectively, but that's about it. Um, yeah, I don't trust. I don't trust us. I don't trust us. If we turn the ball over on top of that, if we start turning the ball over too, yeah, man. Penalties, we're sloppy as shit with penalties still. It's bad, man. We as a team. I wish I could go, more into it. I will talk about it in a second when it comes to them. But yeah, man, this is bad. I'm not gonna even lie. I'm not gonna act like it's not. LSU's bad. Like I'm hoping that it changes later on in the season. I hope that but defensively, the first 3 weeks I've watched LSU, the USC game, the way we played against Nichols, and then South Carolina, we barely escaped that fucking game. Yeah, I'm done on LSU. I'm not even gonna lie. I wish I could lie to y'all and tell you, oh man, LSU going. I'm done on LSU. I'm done on LSU, bro. They're doing bad, man. They're doing bad, man. I'm very just like I don't trust LSU. I don't trust them. I don't trust LSU this year. All right, here we go. My eyes on college football week 4. We've officially entered into the last stage of playing some bullshit teams, and now I'm starting to play conference games. So we finally that's why I'm trying to get back my college, my crazy 6 next week. Um, yeah. By the way, tell me y'all like this new segment, man. Player and teams going up and players and teams down bad. So tell me if you like this new segment. I'm gonna post a clip on social media. I'm gonna post it on YouTube. Hope you guys enjoy this. So I want y'all to tell me if you like this segment or not. So I keep so I could know what I'm doing. But yeah. Um, but mine's on college football for week 4. You already know. 4 games I do. Skeptical game. This game I'm really interested in. I'm just like, I don't know. The team that you think should win might get their ass bust. But I won't call it an upset. It just might be a game that I'm like, I can see if it's an upset. I can see if it is. But yeah, most interesting game of the week is like the game of the week, but it's just more so interesting to me. I want to say how this game is going to look. It's like my second game of the week. I just can't say it is. It's like my most interesting game because it feels like a game that could really swing momentum for a team moving forward. So yeah, my upset game of the week, of course, clearly is the upset game of the week, and of course, uh, my game of the week uh is the game of the week. My matchup that I'm looking super forward to, and let's get into it, man. So my skeptical game of the week is USC versus Michigan. Michigan last week was my team that was down bad. I still don't trust Michigan, but this is the reason why it's my skeptical game of the week because USC hasn't been tried yet. Yeah, LSU game, I get it. That's the first game. I expect you to play your ass off. You've been prepping for them for like 4 or 5 months, maybe even 6, 7, 8 months for that one night. I'm peeping that. Michigan is still questionable as shit. They're switching a quarterback. Michigan is. They're playing in the big house. This is the first time USC is going into the big house in some years. I'm looking forward to seeing how this is going to look. Michigan versus USC, it feels like, and this is the thing, Michigan got absolutely gashed, dominated to the fullest extent by Texas a couple of weeks ago in the big house. What will they be coming into this game? And that is really where the conversation kicks in. This is why I think it's a skeptical game. USC was off last week. They didn't play. Michigan did. What is this game going to look like for USC? Because this is really their first test ever in the Big Ten. And the first team you play is the defending national champions, Michigan. And on top of that, for Michigan, this is also a skeptical game for you. Because if you lose to USC, you now lost to Texas and USC, which makes me feel like I said last week, like they're probably going to lose a lot of games this year. and they might be back to before the Jim Harbaugh era, which was very fucking bad to watch for Michigan fans. And I want Michigan to succeed. Michigan is one of my favorite college football teams of all time. Them, Miami, LSU. Those are like the three. I love seeing, and even Notre Dame a little bit, but Miami, Michigan, LSU, those are like my three teams. No matter what, I love seeing those teams rise to the occasion and do great things. So yeah, but yeah, my most interesting game of the week is the Tennessee Volunteers versus the Oklahoma Sooners. Oklahoma barely escaped the Tulane game. I know people are gonna look at the scoreboard and say, "Well, Brandon, they scored 41 points, and Tulane had like 19, 20. What are you talking about? They barely escaped." Well, if you watch the game, you would know what the fuck I mean by they barely escaped. This is Oklahoma's first test in the SEC. Speaking of USC, this is Oklahoma's first test in the SEC. People forget Oklahoma also came to the SEC this year. We talk about Texas so much, we forget Oklahoma's also there. Oklahoma has no offensive line, none. And now you're going up against a Tennessee team that can pretty much sling the fucking football and put up points like a video game. Yeah, this is gonna be an ass whooping. The only reason why it's interesting for me is Tennessee. It's not Oklahoma. It's Tennessee. Yeah, if Oklahoma pulls off the upset, then great. But for me, it's Tennessee. Can Tennessee show everybody that this is not just a run of the mill team? This is an actual SEC caliber. We could play either Texas, Alabama, Georgia. We're that like we're one of them. If they play in this game and have a great game, I think the conversation would be very fastly changed of who the fuck is the best team in the SEC. Is it Georgia? Is it Texas? Is it Alabama? Is it Ole Miss? Is it Tennessee? And that would change immediately if Tennessee comes out and blows them out. Immediately. But, all right, upset game of the week. I kind of had to switch them. One upset game of the week is UCLA going, or at least coming, to Death Valley, LSU. This is my upset game of the week. UCLA played last week. I think they lost. I can't remember. To Indiana. Indiana, LSU, and LSU and Indiana. And that's exactly how I feel. This is the perfect game for LSU to get their shit together. But but it's fucking LSU. Defensively, we are not good. We can't run the ball. And a couple years ago, I thought, oh man, we're going to UCLA. We're going to beat UCLA. That's awesome. And then we got our ass whooped by UCLA. Are we going to get payback? Who the fuck knows? Who the fuck knows? Um, who the fuck knows? I'm gonna cover this game after it goes off. I think they play at like 2:45 Saturday, so I get some sleep in. Thank God. Um, but I'm gonna watch this game in full, and I'm gonna podcast bleed purple and gold on all podcast platforms, my YouTube channel, BrandonJaneauShow. I'm gonna talk about it. I would not be surprised if we lose. I would not be surprised if we lose. In my game of the week, there's a top 15 game, and that is Utah versus Oklahoma State. Let's get into it, man, because the Big 12 is a conference I said earlier this year that I was like, nobody's really talking about the Big 12. The Big 12 is an interesting fucking conference. You have Utah, you have Oklahoma State, you have Colorado. You have a lot of good teams in the Big 12 that people don't talk about. I could Kansas State, who you know won just recently against Arizona. Went on the road against Arizona and beat their ass Friday. And I was actually going to put Kansas State on here too because they played BYU, who's also a Big 12 team, and they both are undefeated. That's going to be an interesting game. I love that. I love seeing games like that. BYU's not in the polls yet, but if they beat Kansas State, they will be in the polls very fucking fast. Utah and Oklahoma State are an amazingly good team. I just have to see how they're going to look. These are two good teams, two amazing teams. Uh, Utah's quarterback, Cameron Rosen, I think got injured again. He got injured again. And that's fucked up because that kid is good. That kid's really good. And this is his last season of eligibility. I mean, the man's been in college for like 7, 8 years. So I gotta see how this is gonna look. If Utah can win this game, then Utah's a force to be reckoned with. If Oklahoma State wins this game, Oklahoma State's a force to be reckoned with. So yeah, I think that this is gonna be awesome to watch and see, and I can't wait. If I get to the NFL, so injuries are happening left and right. Clearly, start of the season, people are getting hurt left and right. A couple of noticeable names: Debo, Cooper Cup, AJ Brown. A lot of players are getting hurt on put on IR. Tua just got put on IR today. Yeah, speedy recoveries to all of them. Speedy recoveries to all of them. Come back healthy. The Tua one is, and this is what I want to talk about too. I want to talk about that. I forgot I wanted to talk about that. Tua's NFL career should not be left in the hands of Tua. Now, I know people that will sit there and say, Brandon, that's wrong. Why would you take the decision out of his hands? This is his fourth, fifth concussion since being in the NFL. He had three in one season. He had three in one season. The Buffalo Bills game. Then he came back the following Thursday and played against Cincinnati, and that was the game everybody's like, oh my God. That did we just see this man die on the football field? That's some shit you don't want to see ever. Then he came back and played later on that year, and he got concussed again against Green Bay. It ended his season. Last year they kept him upright, but then the following, and now this season, week 2, he gets concussed again, and he's like, "Oh, when I get cleared, I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna play again." The decision should not be Tua's anymore because as a player, you're not gonna stop. You're not gonna stop because this is your dream. This is all you know. This is all you wanted to do with your entire life since you were a kid. You are now living your dream. When the fuck will you ever stop that? Even if you are fucked up, when would you stop that? Miami themselves have to stop this kid from causing real fucking damage to himself. They put him on IR and talk about, oh, he'll come back in week 8. Bruh, I do not want to see a man die on the football field because y'all were too stupid to tell him enough is enough, kid. We paid you your money. You are set for life. We gave you guaranteed money. You are set for life. Retire. Live a healthy life. We do not need you to have any more problems in set life because of a game that you're only gonna probably play at a high level for at least maybe 3 to 5 more years. And that's if you stay healthy. I, no, no, no. Tua needs to stop. But it cannot be his decision. And I think that's the problem. We need him to stay healthy. But he got to take the decision out of his hands. Because as long as he's healthy, as long as he knows he can still play and they're clearing him, he won't understand. Or he probably does. He knows his concussion situation. He knows his health. He knows what's going on with his body. The fact that y'all doctors, medical team has not sat there yet and told this man to his face, chill. You just signed an extension. It's guaranteed money. If you retire, the money is yours. Think about your family. Think about your future. The fact that they are like, oh, week 8, he can, possibly come back. Why? This Miami offensive line, if you just saw it in week 2, don't mean they're going to be better in week 8. So you're going to have this kid physically come back for no reason at all. I don't get it. I don't get it. Now, this is a completely different topic, but kind of the same situation. Not health wise, but quarterback situation. Miami has got to make a decision on a man's health and what they're going to do in the future. Carolina fucked up. I said this last week. I say it again. I said it last week. I said it last year with my brother Juan. I said Bryce Young to Carolina is the dumbest fucking decision in a draft I've seen in a minute. It's stupid. It's how you got him is what made me not realize. Made me say to my brother Juan, I'm like, they traded the only weapon they actually even had for this kid. They traded DJ Moore, who ain't having the greatest time of his life in Chicago. Let's be real about that shit. They traded DJ Moore to get Bryce Young. And they didn't even think about what the fuck they were bringing in, receiver wise. This team, this organization, I've seen people shit on the owner, David Tepper, the general manager, the coach, everyone. Let me explain why that's stupid. This decision was so fucking bad that I don't think people physically understand what Carolina franchise has truly become. When I saw Bryce Young get drafted by Carolina, I remember doing my show with my brother Juan, and I literally said, if I was Carolina, I would draft Anthony Richardson. I said, you need a quarterback that can get the fuck out the pocket because you have no offensive line, you have no weapons, you have nothing. This kid has absolutely nothing. And at least you know with Anthony Richardson, he's a project. You don't need him to come out there and do crazy shit. You need him just to play his game. And if he stays upright, you're good. You can build around that. And even if you can't, at least you know what you got. They traded DJ Moore to get Bryce Young. People forget before they got into the offseason and made that decision with DJ Moore. You know they traded Christian McCaffrey midway through that season? That was the same season they traded Christian McCaffrey. So you traded your actual offense, Christian McCaffrey, and you traded the only fucking weapon you had offensively after that to the Chicago Bears. This is how stupid this is. And this is how fucking dumb this was. You traded the two only offensive weapons you had and still drafted a quarterback. but you kept Brian Burns, the linebacker defensive end. When the Rams offered you a first round pick for him, what? The Rams offered you a first round pick for Brian Burns and you turned it down. And then you traded Chris McCaffrey for fucking peanuts in a Cracker Jack box and DJ Moore. And the Bears are still getting more money off that shit because they are drafting everything they can find. It's not making them better, but they're drafting everything they can find. They damn sure got a really great cornerback from Miami, Stevenson. That dude's a beast. Here's my thing about here's the thing. Carolina's in my division. New Orleans Saints. Carolina's in our division. Do I think this is the end of Bryce Young in Carolina? Now a lot of people saying yes, it's over, it's finished. Do I think Bryce Young is a bust? No, he's not. I think Carolina have no choice but to keep this kid. Now I could be wrong. They could trade him. I could be wrong. I could be completely fucking wrong. But Dave Canales is not. Here's the thing: you brought Dave Canales in to fix um Bryce Young because you thought what he did with Baker Mayfield last year was him. Well, Baker Mayfield's played 2 games and he looks great, but you can't fix this offense. Maybe it was Baker Mayfield, not Dave Canales, the whole time. Did we ever think of that? Because now this weekend, the pressure's on, Dave. If that offense don't improve with Andy Dalton now as the quarterback, when the fuck are we gonna start talking about this kid being a head coach and probably not really deserving to be a head coach? Just saying. Bryce Young has not had enough time as a quarterback to be labeled as a fucking bust. I'm tired of this shit. A bust is like you played 24 fucking games. This man had 18. In 18 of those games, he had a starting head coach. He had a head coach who drafted him in Frank Wright, who got fired 5 games into the season last year. Then a damn interim head coach who we all knew wasn't gonna keep the fucking job. And then they drafted until again and brought in Dave Canales, who we don't know if the motherfucker's a good head coach or not because he's only coached 2 fucking games. This is the only 2 games he's ever fucking coached as a head coach. We don't even know if this motherfucker's a good coach. We just off of moving off of, oh, he's a good offensive mind. The fuck that got to do with anything? You can't coach people. That's a problem. And to be honest, that offense ain't got better. I watched Carolina my whole motherfucking life. That offense is the worst it's ever been. The fuck are you talking about? And these motherfuckers had Jake DeLong. These motherfuckers had Jake DeLong and Rodney Peete as quarterbacks. The, these motherfuckers had Sam Darnold and Baker fucking Mayfield as quarterbacks. These niggas drafted Jimmy Clausen. I'm just saying. I've seen some fuck shit in Carolina. And this is the worst offense it's been. It's bad. It's bad. It is what it is, man. We'll see. Big four of the NFL. You already know. These are my 4 teams of the NFL to me. These are my 4 teams of the NFL. Coming into week 3. Let's get into it. And number 1. The New Orleans Saints. Oh, yeah. You know I was ready for the New Orleans Saints to be on this list at some point in my life. Since I started this damn list up last year. You know I've been waiting for the Saints to be on this list. The Saints, after beating the Dallas Cowboys 44-19 in Jerry's World, That shit sounds completely terrible that it's called that. But anyway, in Jerry's world, we made that bitch Who That Nation. Let's get it right. I said last week when I did Bleed Black and Gold for the Saints, I said the Saints offense. Some people say it's like night and day. This shit is like night and 365 days later. 365 days. This shit is different. You could tell. And now we're getting all of this praise, all of this love after beating Dallas. And that's what happens when you beat Dallas. I don't know why, because Dallas is a shell of themselves. Dallas is not good. Dallas has never been fucking good. Dallas is okay. But because we beat them on such a massive stage and the way we beat them, the dominance, the handling of these motherfuckers, it was different. This upcoming week, we play Philly, who's coming off of clearly the most what the fuck loss they've had in a minute. And I mean, I saw last year. It was a bad loss for Philly last night. I'm not going to sit up here and lie. That was a terrible fucking loss for Philly. But the Saints versus Philly is still a good fucking game. Because now you got to see what Philly's offense is going to look like in a second week without A.J. Brown. And what the fuck is that defense? The Saints usually struggle against teams like Philly. Saquon Barkley, Jalen Hurts, the speed, the fact that Jalen Hurts can get out the pocket, move around. Yeah, they usually struggle against those types of teams. The fact that Philly has no AJ Brown and they have to figure it out, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. The Saints, I like the mindset that the Saints have right now, which is keep one game, one game. We dominated Dallas, great. Don't let this get too high. I like Cam Jordan, Teron Matthew, all these people are now starting to get too much. They're getting all the coverage and all this shit. But they're keeping the one thing, the one goddamn thing. And that is, we won. Great. Whoop de fucking do. Let's move on. We won. Whoop de fucking do. Sunday is going to be a telltale sign. It's going to be a hell of a game. I don't think we're going to blow the Philadelphia Eagles out. If we do, great. But if we don't, and it's a close game, but we win on by 6 or 7 or 8 points or whatever, I'm still gonna be like, that makes sense, because that's what I expect. I expect that. So, yeah. Coming in at number two, also 2-0, is the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo's number two on my list. Please believe when I say I still do not believe in the Buffalo Bills. Oh, you thought because they're on my list, I was supposed to lie? No, I still don't believe in these bitches. But looking at their schedule, the first three games, I picked them to lose to Arizona. They are fucking lucky they beat Arizona. And they absolutely did exactly what they were supposed to do. Beat the shit out the Dolphins. The Dolphins have not beaten the Buffalo Bills since Josh Allen has been. Josh Allen has lost one game to Miami since he's been the starting quarterback of the Buffalo Bills. You know how fucking crazy that shit sounds? One game, nigga? One game? The nigga has lost one game. One game. He's lost one fucking game to Miami in the last, what was the stat? 16? 17? That's fucking nuts. And before Tua had the concussion, that game was a fucking blowout. Tua had threw like 3 picks before the fucking concussion happened. They did exactly what they're supposed to do. Now this upcoming week they play on Monday Night Football against the bullshit, sorry ass fuck shit Jags. Them bitches are terrible. Jags suck. I've been telling people for fucking years. Yo, you think Trevor Lawrence is great? The fuck is wrong with you? Like, who the fuck thinks Trevor Lawrence is good? You are fucking delusional if you think Trevor Lawrence is fucking good. It's terrible. They're not good. The Jags won't be good until Mac Jones takes over as quarterback. Trevor Lawrence is not good. They're gonna play Buffalo. Their cornerback is out still. Jags cornerback is still out. Buffalo's gonna go 3-0. But this would be some funny shit if they lose to the Jaguars. It'd be like some Buffalo shit. I would not be surprised if fucking or at least keep it competitive. Why are you keeping it competitive? Why is this game competitive? I know they say on any given Sunday or any given Monday anybody could lose, but you better not lose this fucking game to no fucking Jaguars on Monday Night Football. Are you kidding me? At home too? Motherfucker, you better smoke them. Number three. Also at 2-0. I forgot to write the record down. That's why it looks so weird. And that is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tampa Bay beat Detroit. Detroit is one of my favorite teams of this NFL season. I've been praising Detroit for a while, and they went into Detroit and beat them. I gotta give them praise for that. I gotta give them love for that. I know they're a divisional team. I don't like Tampa for shit. But I gotta give them praise. I gotta give them love for that. Baker Mayfield's having a great start to his season. He did last year. They're having a great start to their season. Tampa really doesn't play anybody like until they play us. Really, I mean until they play the Saints, and that's like week 6. Um, so they don't really have to play any fucking body. They get to cruise a little bit, and that's the beauty of Tampa right now. You get to cruise. You don't really have to really show up and show out against anyone just yet, and that's the beauty of Tampa. So congratulations. They play Denver this week. Uh, then they play them at home or they play them in Denver. I can't remember. But this is going to be extremely interesting. Denver cannot. Denver has a rookie quarterback, and that's exactly what they look like. They also have a up and down defense too. Tampa could probably lose to Denver, but they could also blow their ass out. It's an either or situation. Now this is more any given Sunday type of feel. But Tampa just played a rookie quarterback, Jane Daniels. I think they got this. And then number 4 is the Houston Texans. They coming off a 19, 13 win over the Chicago Bears on Sunday Night Football. They go to Minnesota, who's also undefeated. I have no faith in Minnesota, but I love Houston. And I told everybody before the season started, I love motherfucking Houston. That offensive line is questionable, and that's being nice. They gave up too many sacks to Chicago, but Chicago's defense is really fucking good. They're really fucking good. Chicago's defense is really fucking good, like extremely fucking good. I don't know what's going on with Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon got injured in that game, so we shall see. But for the most part, Houston is exactly what I thought they would be. 2-0. And I said this. I said Houston is going to have the most interesting season of all because I said after the first 2 weeks, Houston can roll. And that's exactly what's going on. No Justin Jefferson. He might not play Sunday. We don't know about Jordan Addison. It's an interesting situation to say the least. No Justin Jefferson. Um, no Jordan Addison. We don't know the situation on either of them. We know TJ Hockenson is starting the season on IR, so he's literally spending the first 4 weeks on IR. And now you're leaving a defense who is pretty good. Brian Flores is a pretty great defensive coordinator, but you're leaving the defense on IR on the island against Stephon Diggs, former Viking. I think this might be his first time actually in Minnesota since being traded, if I'm not mistaken. It might be his first time in Minnesota since being traded from the Vikings. Yeah, because Buffalo didn't really play Minnesota that much, and when they did play them, they played them in Buffalo. So this might be the first time Stephon Diggs is actually going back to Minnesota since being traded a couple years ago. So that's pretty fucking intriguing. I didn't even think about it until I just talked about it. Yeah, this is Stephon Diggs' first time in Minnesota since being traded. Like since 2016, 2017. Yeah, damn, that's crazy. So Stephon Diggs and Tank Dell and Nico Collins. I don't know about the running game, but seems like Cam Akers can handle himself. who also was a Minnesota Viking running back last year and tore his ACL. So it's gonna be pretty interesting to see how that's gonna look. I mean, yeah, this game is gonna be pretty interesting. Brian Flores' defense is gonna get tested. Sam Darnold, I get that Colin Cowherd has got a hard on for Sam Darnold, but at the end of the day, it's still Sam fucking Darnold. Like we're not, it's still Sam fucking Darnold. Like I'm not about to sit up here and act like Sam Darnold is this super classic, like super great quarterback. It's 7 fucking years. I know what you are. And as much as you think you're gonna announce, and plus on top of that, Cam Akers, Stephon Diggs, and then you forget that they also just signed Donnell Hunter, who had a ferocious sack against Caleb Williams Sunday. That shit was bad. And that offensive line in Minnesota ain't fucking great. So this is going to be a very telltale sign of Houston going forward. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this. Now, now, my levels of warning for the NFL. You already know I do this. Three teams, three levels. Yellow is caution, orange is panic time, red is DOA. So let's get into it, man. Yellow, caution. Talked about them earlier, and I talk about them again. The Miami Dolphins. Tua is one thing. The way you have started this season, you should be on two. You should be on two. You barely beat the Jaguars at home. You had to literally come back from being down 10 to beat the Jaguars, which sounds fucking nuts. And then you get absolutely fucking destroyed on Thursday Night Football by the Buffalo Bills, who you cannot, for the life of you, figure out how to beat. This defense is bad. Until you get Bradley Chubb back, you have no pass rush, which leaves your secondary on the island. You get ran through. You didn't fix that because Christian Wilkins is in Vegas. Excuse me. Christian Wilkins is in Vegas, so you didn't fix it, and you have no chance right now. And now Tua's down, and Tua's won't be technically cleared until week 8. What is this team going to look like in the next 2 3 weeks? It's only week 3 in the NFL season, so that's 5 fucking weeks. You don't know when Tua might be coming back if he comes back this season. Do you really think Shaq, Sky Thompson can handle this situation? Fuck no. This is one of those where the defense of the Miami Dolphins is going to have to do more because that offense might not be able to. And then on top of that, we forget that Thursday night you had no Raheem Mostert, and then nobody knew if the other running back is gonna play until that game, until like Thursday. And so it was a game time decision. So you have no offensive line on top of that. This is bad. This is bad. This is bad. This is gonna get bad fast in Miami. I don't think people understand. It's gonna get bad. It's gonna get bad fast. It's gonna get bad fast in Miami, man. Orange, panic time, and that's the Ravens. I'm not even gonna beat around the bush. It's the fucking Ravens, man. Um, Ravens are 0-2. Uh, yeah, this is bad. I get that you lose game 1 to Kansas City. It's game 1. It's Kansas City. I get it. And plus, on top of that, it's the way you lost. It was a foot on the line, a toe on the line, and you lost that game. Okay, you losing the way you lost Sunday. I told my brother Juan this last year, and I'm starting to realize that they really might be the same fucking team. I said the Baltimore Ravens are the AFC's Philadelphia Eagles. And after watching what Philly did last night and watching what Baltimore did Sunday, them parallels cannot be more true. A really good quarterback, a really good defense if they can just, schematically get it right. Uh, well, Baltimore, Philly got better receivers, but Baltimore is disturbing to me. Baltimore is really fucking good, but their offensive coordinator since the fucking playoffs seems like he doesn't know what he's doing. Like the AFC Championship game, I feel like rattled his ass. Like it humbled him because before he got to the AFC Championship game, the before the AFC Championship game, this offense was good. Like they could reel off 30 fucking 30, 40 points easy. Ever since that championship game against Kansas City, this offense has struggled. They don't know what the fuck they doing. Week one is one thing. You barely did shit in the second half against the Raiders, which the Raiders have a really good defense. So I'm not gonna sit up there and act like the Raiders ain't got no good defense. That's bullshit. But it's something I said after week one, and I said this. I said, man, listen, the Ravens need a actual number one or two receiver. Rashad Bateman ain't it. Zay Flowers is only in his second year, and you cannot keep relying on this kid. Isaiah Likely and Mark Andrews are both really good tight ends. Really good tight ends. But at some point, you got to get a receiver, dude. Zay Flowers has the speed to be a deep threat, but at some point, you got to get another receiver. And this shit is bad. I don't know who you go get. I have no clue. But you need to go get a receiver. This shit is bad. And that number, and the last team, and that's red, that's DOA. It's the Rams. It's the Rams. Rams are on to. The Rams are on to. Uh, they have no offensive line. They have no tight end. They have no receivers. The Rams are literally a Matthew Stafford injury away from punting on the season. Like it's like they are literally a Matthew Stafford injury away from like punting on the season. Yeah, the Rams are screwed. This is not a good situation. I wish I could lie and say, "Oh, the Rams are gonna be great." The Rams are screwed. It's what I expected the Rams to be last year, but they are it this year. Is exactly what I expected the Rams to be last year. A team that has no real understanding of what the fuck they are. You lose Aaron Donald during the offseason to retirement. He's done. He's gone. You got to replace that. You have no secondary. You traded your starting linebacker before the season for no reason. We still don't know why. Like, and then your offensive line is getting shattered left and fucking right. Your starting tight end is out. Your two main weapons offensively, wide receiver wise, your rookie of the year last year offensively, and then Cooper Kupp, and you're just sitting there with a just a what the fuck is the Rams? The Rams are screwed. The Rams are screwed, and it's exactly what I thought they would be last year. It just took a year, like me and my brother Juan said. Either we're a year early or a year too late. It's exactly what the fuck the Rams are. The Rams are exactly what I thought they would be last year. So am I surprised by this shit? Fuck no. I expected it just last year. So yeah, yeah. I don't think the Rams are gonna be good. I think the Rams are screwed. And yeah. All right. But that's it. As I bleed sports. Tell you guys soon. See y'all next week. More craziness. My crazy six is back next week. Where I pick my 16s for college football. I'll be doing my big four again. That was a warning. My college football players going up and players that's doing down bad. Teams and players down bad and going up. That's all next week. Until next week, man. I am Brandon Janeau. Peace.